Do you know that the word for melanin in Zoroastrianism, which is coming out of Zoroastrianism is Persian, which is coming out of Iraq and Iran. The word for melanin in Zoroastrianism is called drug. Where you get the word drug from. Now, our male bites akasha and goes what? Fuses into her bloodstream, thus making the first vampire. And makes her immortal. Our male is this energy or this entity that fuses into her bloodstream, this black substance that makes her the first vampire. And that's her name is called Akasha. Now, going back, Crawley in this book of Thoth, the only time they ever mention anything on the ear in all these metaphysical books is Crawley's book of Thoth. In that chapter of Harpocrates, or the food, he says that the harvest lock is talking about a doorway or talking about something in the inner ear. It's called the Vararandra chakra, which is the most highest vehicle of Akasha spirit. All right, now follow me here. So we know that one of the keys here is the ear. Hell, the ear is the only thing that's as close to the damn pineal gland. I said, that's why they never put it in none of these metaphysical books. Now, follow me on this. Now, this has to do with me and what happened to me in January. Met up with two sisters, medical nurse. They've been coming to my lecture for years. They work at Grady Memorial Hospital, which is like the butcher place down there. They haven't seen everything that happened. You go to Grady, man, you can get 1,000 horror stories. So these is the, they say, but when you get in a wreck down in Atlanta, they say you want to go to Grady because they so used to trauma. So you got a better chance of living by going where they be patching up niggas every month, and every week, every night. And you know what I'm saying? They're going way out with the white folks and they sitting there and you bleeding to death, they don't know what to do. You see, this is every night for them. So I said, damn, y'all Grady nurses, y'all motherfucking guinea pig nurses. Y'all have seen everything. So these sisters came in, and the sister, she told me, I want a candle out your ear. I know what ear candling is. She said, I want a candle out your ear. I said, okay. So she started candle out my ear. She said, well, you know, we had a guy that was deaf. And we did 5 candles before we got him to hear. Well, I said, I'm not deaf in the ear, but I say this ear here, my right ear, which is called the left. If you're on the inside of the body, this would be the left ear. It's called the left hand path. I said, this ear I can hear, but I said, it's always, you know when your ear stops, it just always just noise your ass. I said, so she started counting out my ear. She got up to 4, she got up to 5. She said, well, hell, the person that was deaf had 5. I said, well, I can hear. She candled out 5 candles in the ear, and all of a sudden I realized something. My ear had been stopped up since the first part, January of 2001. And was stopped up till I couldn't hardly stand it, and I got some little ear shit and got it so I could, you know, to tolerate it. But I didn't realize that when they candled out my ear, I had developed sonic hearing. I developed sonic hearing. Now, I'll say this again, Dawood made fun of this thing here, but it's all, but see, the thing about it is when you do the scholarship, and that's what, you see, I tell people it's good to give people scholarship and put them on the road to scholarship and put them on the road to these books, because every now and then, those same people will go back and study and they'll come back and bring you shit. So it's interesting, because I knew what was going on spiritually. Yeah, I knew what was going on spiritually. Okay, cool on, 1 minute, hold on now. Hold on, this is very important. All right. January of 2000, my stomach in a week got bigger and bigger. And by the end of the week, I had a little something in there kicking. It was like a little baby. I said, God damn it, I must be pregnant. That shit sound funny, you know. I said, I must be pregnant. Now it's interesting. It's always you gotta get scholarship. Because it's interesting because the same sister from Tallahassee that graduated from FAMU, her boyfriend studied, got a lot of the information I was giving and started studying, and he found all kind of texts in India on how a male can get pregnant, but it's a spiritual pregnancy. In the part of Buddhism with the gut, It's a spiritual pregnancy. And so he found that. That's why I said, always get a scholarship, because every now and then a motherfucker gonna read something and they can come back and help you. We're talking about being students in this thing. So the brother said, hey man, I heard you on the tape talking about you was pregnant. He said, I got some texts coming out of India where they talk about the Buddha gut and a person can be very spiritually pregnant. I said, yeah, because this shit in me was kicking like a baby. And then one of the psychics say that baby gonna be born on a certain day, and it matured like in 2 weeks. But now what is it? It's nothing but your soul. You have a soul that's dormant. When you have the scarab with no wings on it, you ever see a scarab? That means your soul is asleep. You ever heard of the sleeping Buddha? Your soul is asleep. Whenever your soul wakes up, it goes through the same birthing process as a baby being born. That's why your soul is also called the baby of the egg. Harpocrates. Okay? Your soul is called the baby of the egg. Harpocrates. So I got pregnant. About 2 weeks after he was born, this ear got stopped up. It was like something or some type of entity didn't want this ear to get stopped up, to hear. Anyway, a year later, once I got the ear unplugged in January, I found out I developed sonic hearing. I could hear the cells in my damn feet. I could hear my heartbeat. I could hear all kind of little shit walking around in my body, all kind of little shit popping. Okay, now y'all have to throw me off on this one, because I got to tell you, this is the crux of the story. You can't present nothing and don't give the people what happened. So now you're just going to have to just bear with me on this one. Listen. Okay. Once she cleaned out my ear and I developed this sonic hearing, I became obsessed with music. Now I got 5,000 albums in my house. So I got this system, this Kenwood amp. I had one system, lasted me from 1989 to November of 2001. And it finally blew. It was the best I had. Now look. So I went and got this Kenwood receiver. Now this goes down to the science of what's going on. I'm pumping this Kenwood receiver. I became obsessed with music. I put fucking 14 speakers. I put 12. I put 10 speakers in the room. Big speakers. I put 11 in the room, and I put 14. I shouldn't have done that, because that just blew my little shit right up. Now, but I was obsessed. Now, then the Odyssey starts. Then the adventure starts. So, I got a significant other here, the sister here, right here in the second row. I call her up. Now, you know this is a black man priorities. You know, because, like I told you, I'm the brokest man in the Western Hemisphere. So, only money I got is if I got it in my front pocket. No nothing. If I call a sister, I say, now you know this is a black man, his priorities. Damn rent, damn lights, damn food. My levels and my music is gone. Anytime a black man with a priority, I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Now I got this thing in my ear and I'm obsessed. I said, my music is gone. So sister said, don't worry about it, I'm gonna hook you up and we'll send you. I said, you came into my life right at the right damn time to fund this damn ridiculous odyssey. So I said, I don't know. I said, my music gone. And I said, you know, damn rent, damn all that. You know how black people are. It's about the radio. So she came, she wired me some doggone money. Now, I go to pick up me a system. One brother said, man, you got enough money, let's go to Circuit City, man, get you something new. I go to Circuit City, I buy a system. Take it home, it don't have no outlet for phono, which is the turntable. I take it back and get an outlet for phono. Take it home, it don't have an outlet for tape 2 monitor. And tape 2 monitor is where you hook up your equalizer. I said, wait a minute, hold on. I said, damn, I search in there. I can't find nothing that's brand new with these options. They're taking them off. The guy said, yeah, well, he said in about a year they're going to take that off. I said, damn, you can't hook up no Equalizer. He said, well, they got one last equalizer that Techniques put out. Now this is, let me show you what time it is. This has a lot, this has everything to do with melanin. He said they got one equalizer that Techniques put out. And he said after this year, they're going to take that off the market. I said, okay then. I see now that the pawn shops is going to be my best friend on this one. All right. So it take me about a week to get some stuff. So this is what happened. I find a Sony receiver. It's like a 99. It's got phono and it's got tape 2. Let me show you the science on this. It's got phono and it's got tape 2. I plug it up, plug in the doggone equalizer. I got 14 speakers I gotta push now, shit. So, I plug in the equalizer, and my music sounds funny. Come to find out what it is this. The new systems, everything that they want you to hear is already preset. So, it don't matter what equipment you get, it's still gonna come out with a preset sound, because the key here is, in the new receivers, is, and let me tell you what CD technology is. It's a hologram made for not to enter the inner ear melanin. Now, I want you to hear what I'm saying here. Since 1990, you've been hearing music, but not necessarily hearing music. Talking to some white boy that worked at this music place, guy in his 50s. He said, man, he said when the CD came out, he said, I went and took all my damn Miles Davis albums and brought them into this store to sell them, because they sell used LPs. He said, I went out and I got a whole Miles Davis collection on CD. I'm going to show you how you're going to get around all this in a few minutes. On CD. He said, wait, something ain't right. Something's not right. There's something missing. And he went and he read, and in one of the CD packs it said that we have taken out several octaves that used to be in the original music. So because it's an EQ'd sound and it's a hologram, you hear music, but you don't really hear music. Another white guy kept saying, you know, I have to keep turning the CD up. He said, something about the digital, I'm not getting what I'm supposed to get. Now, since 1990, since they phased out the LPs, they have designed the CDs so that it goes in the ear and you can hear music, but you're not hearing music. It does not reach the inner ear melanin. Okay. Found out if you got a graphic equalizer and you can put your hands on several levels, you can still override the damn CDs. So they gotta phase out the equalizer. Now for the people that's going to all CD technology, I'm just trying to say, now first thing you need to do, this is for the melanin people. Go out, go to some pawn shop and go something to find you some turntables, snatch them up. Because when the turntables went out in 1990, you can get turntables at pawn shops and at Goodwill stores for $2. Only thing you had to do is find a needle. And some of them, you just go and buy a new cartridge. And so they sell an Audio Techniques cartridge right ready to go in Circuit City. Now this is the key. Whatever you do, go out and buy you a real good turntable. Don't get nothing cheap, because you can find the real deal turntables. Now, and that's for one thing. Another thing here is if you got CDs, because you gotta go buy albums, go get you, anytime you find you a graphic equalizer in these pawn shops or whatever, buy the graphic equalizer. Now, the key here is, I found out something. Now I have now, because the sister died, by the help of the sister, there is the domestic model, Sony, Pioneer, Kenwood, you see what I'm saying? Kenwood, those are your domestic models. Then you got what is called high-end stuff. I remember this in the 70s. People used to go in the army. They say, we go in the army, we get some stereo. We get stereo systems we can't find in the United States. Remember now, they didn't phase out the LPs in 1990. They tried to do that shit in Europe. The Europeans said, we ain't buying that shit. So they had to still get LPs. Now, listen. There's the high-end models. You got your Sony, your Pioneer, your Kenwood, and all of that. The stuff that you know. Then you got high-end stuff, like Carmen Harden. Grundy. Yamaha. Yes, so a lot of it, and then there's one which is the highest thing out there is this thing called a carver. It's called a carver. It costs $1,400. And lo and behold, I found one for $5. Perhaps $5.50. Now, let me show you the deal is. It's called a carver, like George Washington Carver. Okay. Now, I put this thing on and put it on with the EQ, because I found one with the EQ tape. Because remember now, you got to get tape 2 monitor, not just tape 1. You got to have either phono and tape 2 monitor. Now, if you got CDs, and you're only playing CDs, you still got to have tape 2 monitor because you got to find your equalizer. And what you got to do is the more levels you get on the equalizer is key. This is essential for Melanin. I'm getting ready to get off, but I'm going to explain this to you. You got to get that tape 2 monitor. I got this carver and the damn CDs sound just like the LP. But it's interesting. I can turn this thing up, but with that, when I put that turntable on, and it hit a certain note or something, I have a certain, his sound that come out of the person's voice, it's got a shut-off valve in the carver. It'll shut down. It'll click off. And I'm like, damn, this turntable here will click it off because the turntable is a real recording. You see what I'm saying? Now, the point I'm trying to make here is, they make sure, now my point here is this here, if the music does not get to inner ear Melanin, as far as the systems that they make and the CDs, that means anything anything after 1990, post 1990, I'm talking about this which has been produced, ain't no good. You got to go late 80s on back, which is all the classical shit anyway. If you got the 70s, you got it. You know what I'm saying? The 60s or whatever, you got it. Because all the stuff that is produced with the rap stuff is nothing but the 70s, modified, pasteurized, homogenized anyway, called samples. You see what I'm saying? So, what I'm saying here is this. With this in mind, you have to go back to your classics, but you have to pay attention. Any of the stuff that you get, now, any of the stuff that you get, if you do have, if you can get into this high-end stuff, or if you can get any system you can get from either the pawn shop, if you can't get phono, if you're just running CDs, you still got to get tape 2 monitor, because you got to hook it up with an equalizer. That is the way you're going to get the actual Melanin aspect. Because now what's happening, let me explain what's going on here so you'll know what's going on here. Look. In the spring of this year, off the coast of Florida, they announced about this big black water off the coast of Florida. Has anybody heard about this thing? Raise your hand. And off the coast of Florida, they got this mysterious black water. This mysterious black water off the coast of Florida, it's about 700 miles long. They didn't care, but I know how, it's about 700 miles long. And they're telling people they don't know what the shit is. You go on the internet, now they had a couple things on the internet early on, and then all of a sudden they started shutting people out. You can't go with this particular information. This is a book called Arthur 2000. It's not a, this is just a little cheap, this is a magazine that comes out of Atlanta. It's free. You know, they pick these things up. It's a free magazine, a little metaphysical thing. In here they're talking about the black water, the mysterious black waters off the coast of Florida. Now, the reason why the music is important, because as you know, since 1998, you had Discover magazine, which I showed, talked about this black hole. See, I've been talking about this for the last 4 years. About this black hole in the center of our galaxy. 1998, Discover magazine. November 1998. Sister Fanny sent me one from 2001. It just so happened that during the same time of 2001, Astronomy magazine had out one Was it Astronomy magazine? Astronomy had one talking about looking inside of the black hole, which came out around the same time 9/11, because the movie, they said October, but remember, magazines come out a month early. So I have it in here, October 2001. They're talking about face-to-face with the black hole, because we slipped within this mysterious black hole on May the 22nd of 2001. Then, the same year, June 25th, Time Magazine, 2001, How the Universe Will End, and they talk about this particular black hole. All right. July 2002, Discover Magazine again is talking about the same black hole. Then all of a sudden, this is out in space. All of a sudden, this mysterious black water shows up off the coast of Florida. What they're not telling people here is that this black water is not, they just told the people about the coast of Florida. This black water is all over the world. They just only told the people about the coast of Florida. During the same time, this black water, about a year ago, white folks, and it was just interesting because it was rich white folks in Texas and all over the United States started having this mole in their house. You heard about this thing? The house come down with this mole and they got to move out. Mole has some of the same type of flow as melanin. You see, as melanin. Mold is a bacteria, a lot of times it comes about when stuff is putrefied. Melanin in alchemy is a substance that has something to do with something that is putrefied or left behind. As the Egyptians say, at Alvin Boyd King books, Lost Lights, there was a whole bunch of entities that used to live prior to human race, and when they went to sleep, we appeared. And they had this psychosexual substance called melanin, which is called the shadow, which is something left behind. Well, mold is one of the same properties as far as something that is left behind, or something that is mutated, or something that has crystallized. See, sometimes mold, anything that change is good, because chaos is matter where change is supreme, and chaos is the key to melanin. Now, the mold showed up, you got a black hole that showed up, but one of the keys is this here. The doorway to the temple, you got a candle out your ears, but the doorway to the temple, as above, so below. If you see the black hole out there on the coast of Florida, and they got them around the world, that means that there's some stuff that's inside of you that is already opened up. But guess what? Go get the movie, because they always put it from your cup. Go get the movie Ghostbusters 2, when they had this mysterious goo. They made it pink. But what they do when they put it on some music and put it on the toaster, and the toaster started jumping whenever they put music to it. Well, that's the same thing about the whole melanin aspect. So if there's some stuff off of Florida that we know of in this Western Hemisphere, and you have mold, microscopic organisms, then in actuality, there's some things that's also going on when it comes to the inner ear melanin. And so this particular portion of the lecture is talking about melanin and music. But you got to go back and get the classics, because the music industry made sure that the stuff that came out from 1990 on was not based off of the muse. Or it has repetition in it, but it's not based off of the muse. That's why you got to go back to the stuff where the muse was active. The muse is what created it. And the muse is nothing but melanin put to scale. And some of the most advanced music is funk. Any advanced dance music? Any advanced dance music? Give me one last thing. We know that James Brown is basically the architect of what we call modern funk music, because stands the reason why when the rappers came out, and in their particular in their particular inception of rap music, 98% of his stuff was sampled. Now, few all the people around that time, Junior Walker and All-Stars, straight up advanced origins of funk music. People don't know that. Get some Junior Walker, you hear what I'm talking about. But the funk music that we get with a heavy bass line, although James Brown is the architect of the dance music at that particular time, it just took different phase from the jump jazz of Count Basie compared to Duke Ellington was sophisticated. Count Basie was like the Bootsy Collins compared to Duke Ellington, which was like the Maurice White. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So, in the 60s, you have the architect of the dance music is James Brown, but the bass line that you have from the 70s was invented by Larry Graham of Graham Central Station, later on, but of the Sly and the Family Stone, with the song "Thank You for Let Me Be Myself." This was the first time you had that type of thing, and even Bootsy and them said we would like to take credit for it, but it was Larry Graham and Sly and the Family Stone. That's why you got to go get the one. It might not sound like nothing to most people that's young, but you got to get the movie, the album "A Riot Is Going On." Sly and the Family Stone's got "Family Affair" on it, "Running Away," "You Caught Me Smiling." It's one of the precursors to funk music in the 70s. And I said, man, I knew they had to be high as hell when they made this damn album. Because damn, Sly just get on there and pick up a damn guitar and just start plucking. Like he in the first grade, but it's genius. But the point I'm trying to make here is, this is very, and then you go on into George Clinton and all that type of thing after they really modified it and all this type of stuff. But any kind of 70s funk, any kind of advanced dance music is very key. But all music, the muse, all that is quintessential when you're dealing with the actual melanin. Now, why are you saying? You say, I've been listening to music all the time now. What does this have to do with things now? Well, apparently, if you hadn't heard inner ear melanin music since 1990, what will happen if you go and if you have a CD, go get a graphic equalizer. Now, because what it is, they got equalizers now built into the new systems, but they already preset to what they want you to have. So you got to get you an equalizer. If you're dealing with CDs, get you a graphic equalizer. You can get them at the pawn shop. They cost $30, $40 all day. Go to Goodwill, you might find one for $20. But if you still got some LPs, get your turntable and get your equalizer. And I'm telling you to listen to your classics now. You see what I'm saying? Outside of the tailored manufactured era of where they manufacture this stuff, not to go to the inner ear melanin. But you have to get you a graphic equalizer to do it. A couple other things you need to do. We'll get into that later on, but I just want to bring that to you. I want to bring that to you. But also, too, they had to kill the archetypal male energy. Now, one thing about the rap music, it does not coincide with the male and female thing. You see what I'm saying? It's guys hanging in gangs. You see what I'm saying? And even if they got the girls around shaking their booty, it's never a social interaction on a personal level. They're only seen as objects. And now as a result, you go to any major college campuses and you will see this thing. You will see guys on one side of the street, black guys on one side of the street, hanging out with themselves, and you will see girls on the other side of the street. And the guys always got on too much clothes, and the girls hardly got on none. But they never coincide and intermingle. Now, when I was in college, our rites of passage was, you're okay, brother, but you ain't getting none. So you're a social pariah. Now, that might sound messed up, but that's just the way it was. You see what I'm saying? Our whole manhood was based on how we interacted with them women. Like I said, you know, I say, man, I really like you, man. You're a cool brother. Guy say, yeah, but he ain't getting none. People, basically, that was your rites of passage. So he ain't gonna hit a lick out of a damn snake. That nigga scared of booty. Hear this thing here. But it was a rites of passage and stuff because the simple fact, it was the Osirian energy on how you coincide, even on a sexual level or even on a passionate level with your woman. But see, they came in and they designed this thing now, whereas this thing is segregated. The brothers got on too much clothes and they only hang around the brothers. You see, and the sisters hang around the sisters, but the sisters only hang around the sisters talking about they want to get with them brothers. Now, the sister still ain't stupid now. She She still want to give it to brother. It's just that it's socialized this way. So obviously they had to come in and they had to do something to separate it and butcher up some shit. You see what I'm saying? So there's no way you get a Frankie Beverly and Mays today. You understand what I'm saying? No way you get an Isaac Hayes. Get some damn Isaac Hayes. And listen to that damn I stand accused again. Now. And then you'll understand what I'm talking about here. We're talking about there's archetypes that's already infused into our classical music. I don't like the word oldies. No, classical funk. Classical R&B. There's archetypes infused in our classical music. I'm getting ready to get right now. That you need to listen to now. Under the aspects of this new stuff, or sip on you some alcohol, or whatever. You see what I'm saying? And get into the zone and do that too. You see, because remember, most fundamental religions were made to shut down the muse. So anything that they are against, you need to take a second look at. Like I said, brother, say sex outside of procreation, that should be something you need to take a look at. Any kind of stimulant that you don't abuse, take a look at it and take you a chug on some stuff. Because that's fundamentally African. That's Moors that brought that up into Europe and taught the European how to distill alcohol. We'll get into that in a few minutes or whatever later on. But any kind of thing that gets you any kind of alternative reality, we're not talking about the people on the street. We're not talking about the people that's got all the drug addiction. We're talking about you up in here. You want to learn about melanin? You want to learn about the muse, espiritos, and alternative levels of awareness is also quintessential to the muse or quintessential to melanin. So then if anything that floats your boat to get you a little tipsy and jam that particular music, that's what's going to do it. We'll go into some other stuff later on, but thank you very much. And I'm always trying to jam it in an hour or so. Okay.
All right. We're gonna break for lunch. No question and answer. We're gonna.
You want a question and answer?
Yeah. Huh?
No, you can't do
What?
that.
We need question and answer. Just 15 minutes. Okay. Let me see this.
Give me just 10 minutes for question and answer. I mean, it's more than fitting. I mean, the question and answer is for you, not me. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, brother. That's going to interfere with the question and answer. Okay. Now, give me what's that? Okay.
Brother, I spent 13 months in Vietnam. And it made me reflect back to childhood and gospel music, came up in the church, and so on.
Right.
And then studying a little history, we understood when we were in the field. 3 levels here, right? We sang to keep the suffering down.
Exactly.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And we developed music many times to heal, right?
Yeah.
I was in Vietnam, the entire language. Now, it's different than, not all Asians are different, okay? We have to understand.
You even got your black ones over there.
That's what I'm talking about, because we're real close to Laos and Cambodia, and that was black.
Yeah.
And we got into that. The whole language was what we call sing-song. You understand what I'm trying to say? I'm trying to study it a little bit now, but it wasn't talking, it was singing. Like, the sounds. And different octaves and different levels of the sound of the same thing meant different situations. And I'm trying to study a little bit on that now, that if we go back into a real heavyweight study of, I'm going to ask you to elaborate on this, of the Church of God in Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, the sanctified church.
Yeah.
That I found that when they hit certain octaves, the sounds, it would send the women into a cataclysmic state.
Right. Yeah.
That we call, what was that they call it? Tongues.
Yeah, so I got you exactly. It's interesting here because Brother Clemson Brown out of New York, the videographer for years, even dealing with everybody has a part of when they're growing up, certain sociological aspect to deal with how we learn more about ourselves. And he said, we didn't have a whole lot of money. He said, and even John Hemmitt said how you can get a woman for $1 or something. He said, you damn sure don't make women like that no more. But, you know, a dollar, you put on your suit of clothes, as they call it. But he said, we didn't have a whole lot of money. He said, but them guys used to stand there, they used to sing to them women. We used to sing. That's right. We didn't have a lot of things, but you know, even Richard Pryor said, you know how the brother who can sing, get all the booty. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So, that's a fundamental part, and even when they talk about most ancient languages, what they said, the even European, when you talk about English being a bastardized language, they was even talking about even French. Even the French look down on the English language because it doesn't come with the several octaves and the motif of an ancient language like your Arabic, which you see what I'm saying, which is a song type thing, which we know comes from ancient Kush. Naturally, it would be your Kemetic languages. And any type of language from the ancient time, you're also talking about a mantra, is the word. Those particular words, even you can get it in the Arab thing where they talk about alhamdulillah, 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 and all this, and they call it the wazifa, which is a mantra that open up certain chakras in the body. All the way into India. These are, it's fusing with the muse. So I would agree automatically. You and then he had it again.
Yes,
go ahead.
I think it was very excellent. Lucky for the Hemmitt. In the book by Manly P. Hall, I'm kind of called the one, Secret Teachers book.
Secret Teachers of all ages?
Man, Grand Symbol of the Universe.
Man, Grand Symbol, yeah. So that's still in print, yeah.
He has a section on the pineal gland, and he talks about the finger at the tip of the pineal gland that vibrates at a high rate. And I was just, but again, what I seldom hear is what you've made known is not only the vibration of the inner ear cilia that line the inner ear, but it is done in an octave, in a rhythmical fashion that causes the jumping between the dimensions and going into so-called deep trance state.
There you go.
And then one other thing, this is just a question. I'm doing some work and I ran into an oracle that made reference to the early human types, the Australopithecus types, and raising the question about why we were always able to stand upright and the upright posture. And it raised a question about it was done because of these semicircular canals, the one that had a sense of balance, but it did not go into the question of sound. So a question comes, did we stand upright to hear the mating calls between sisters and brothers?
Well, you know what's interesting? Because now it's interesting because I also mentioned alcohol, and I said that it had a lot to do with alternative states of being before the overindulgence comes. That's the hangover. But what does alcohol do? One of the keys this is very scientific. So one of the keys in one of the studies of what they was dealing with LSD, remember now the government came and shut it down, was they said it blocked out the rational portions of the mind to allow the melatonin to work. Okay, when they tell you even when you get drunk, what's the first thing you do? You lose your balance. Those coils get out of correct or whatever. The point I'm trying to make here, there's a connection to vibration again. And then the interesting, nobody ever thought about this, but I thought about this in 1996. Looking at pictures of the pineal gland, isn't it funny that the clitoris looks damn near the same? You see what I'm saying? Here goes the vibration thing again also. You see? So, I would agree when you're saying about the mating calls and all that. I would say all that is connected. As a matter of fact, what I'm going to get into later on is I even found some stuff, Rudolf Steiner, which we talked about before, about the whole Rudolf Steiner thing, where even the pineal gland we get into was also a fertility organ in the ancient particular person, where they actually, outside of mating with the vaginal and the penis, they also knew how to do this thing based on the sensations of the pineal gland. Okay, give me two more questions and we out. There's two more.
So our time is really up, brother.
Okay.
Our time is really up. We really got to stop somewhere.
All right, then.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I know. will be opened up.
Okay, it's on you, Bobby.
It's on me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm on?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay, this is the tutorial part of the lecture as far as the classroom. I want to get into a few things that's very important at this particular time. Also, to add light to what I was saying, there was a movie that came out with all this in the movie on the music thing that I was talking about recently. And the name of the movie is called Josie and the Pussycats. It was, the cartoon that used to come out years ago. Anyway, they put the movie came out August of 2001, right before 9/11. Right before 9/11, the movie came out. The thing here is they would put it in one of these little teen crazy movies. That's to throw people off. That's to throw people off. In this movie, they talk about how the music industry and how there's subliminal seduction that is inside of the actual music. They go into all of this in the actual movie. In the actual movie, that's one for the records. It's just like they got two movies out now on the Atlanta child murders. One that came out in 1999 or 2000 called Red Ink. Real cheaply done movie, but that's also to throw you off. It's called Red Ink, and it's talking about the Atlanta child murders. I was fortunate enough to meet one of the mothers of the Atlanta child murders back in 1996, and she was telling me that when she told me that in 1981 when it was going down, they came and got her and took her to her daughter, and her daughter was still alive. But when they took her to the daughter, they said that when they took her to the daughter, they said that she looked like she was 70 years old. It was interesting because in this movie, Red Ink, they document that where the guy makes mention that he saw one of the children, although it was dead, it looked like it was 70 years old. You see? So they do that. Now they got a new one out with Gregory Hines that just came out this past summer, and it's on cable. I know it's playing on cable. And there's another movie on the whole Atlanta child murders, going into the conspiratorial aspect of that. I want to say that now because there's a lot of things that is coming at this particular time. I want to make this particular statement. I just got this broadband cable, which they got cable now that is comparable to the satellite dish. Satellite dish get over 200 channels. So AT&T broadband brought out a cable network get over 200 channels. It's digital cable. So anyway, I was clicking through this particular cable when I got it. I had it since May. And I noticed that there was not one positive image on that screen for black people. Now, this is the psychological aspect where we're not aware of now. We know different black people in different walks of life. We know black people with $50,000 jobs, $100,000 jobs, and our Mercedes-Benz. But people in Switzerland, people in Tanzania, people all over the world, they don't know that. Their only perception is going to be that which they see on the TV. And it was interesting because I was coming from a lecture and I was on the plane with a guy from Kenya. And this guy had never been in the United States in his life. And the first thing he started asking me is about why are you all on drugs? Well, I'm like, well, first of all, man, we are 40 million plus. We have a history of 300 years here, and we got a history of black upward mobility since 1865, even before that. I said, and we hold every job there is in the world except president and vice president of this country. And I said, and we have and we have almost 130 years of intellectual collegiate experience. And he was like, what? He was baffled. It was almost like me telling him a fairy tale of some people in another life. So all of the so-called advancement of black people, they don't get it. Only thing he knew was black people was here, they was on drugs. Guy from Kenya. You see. So he knew nothing about, and I said that this is interesting here because the psychological conditioning around the world, what we don't realize when we see a pathetic character on TV, we now go past because we see so much upward mobility in the black community. So it don't register with us. So we don't understand that the concept here is to destroy us worldwide on a whole other level than what we think of. And because we don't put it together, you see what I'm saying? Because we are living our lives and stuff, and we don't put this thing together, those people in Switzerland, Russia, Africa, Australia, they only see the pathetic characters that they got, that they have. I want to say that because the simple fact, I'm trying to find out, what is it that people constantly still attack us? Let me give you an example. You got a TV show that came on HBO called The Wire. The actual show is filmed in Atlanta in a closed down project. Then you got the show that's Oz, which was a jail show. And in so many words, these shows, they're showing still the drug trade. They don't even, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't know about here, but in places like Atlanta and places around the country, you know, they have single-handedly wiped out most of the drugs. They just got a few little derelicts of people that they just maintain. That's when they came out with this $5 rock. Not because remember now, one was got people was hooked. One smoked and they was hooked on this thing during the late 80s and early 90s. Then they came out with a $5 rock that just to maintain the little bit of status quo derelicts because the majority of the people are locked up. So this whole aspect of this wire, this drug trade, you see what I'm saying, is to keep a certain propaganda going around the world. And I asked this question, why would a people, now we know we're at our lowest point when it comes to black people, when it comes to consciousness. You might meet a person with some common sense one day. It might be 3 months before you meet somebody else that has any type of consciousness whatsoever if you move outside of your circle. Some conscious people, they build a few people around them and build a little circle around them of black consciousness or somebody that's aware. And we can be fooled in thinking that the whole world is doing this, black people are on the rise and consciousness is growing. That's because we haven't looked outside of our environment to see what's going on. But on the other hand, outside of that environment, if you just go to the general population or the masses, you might meet a person every 2 months that got some damn common sense. And I'm not talking about no underclass, because they for all intents and purposes, in most of the country, they are wiped out. We're talking about the so-called black, upward mobile person with nothing on their mind. So my point here, what I'm saying here is, if the white boy has conquered the last 6-7 years where he's basically wiped out this resurgence of consciousness with the other people that's getting it, because most of the people I lecture to are people that's already made up in their mind that they want to know something new. The numbers of new people have dwindled within the last 10 years compared to what it was in the late 80s and early 90s when you start having this resurgence. Now you're not getting, only thing you're getting now is people that want to learn much more advanced things, but you don't get a whole influx of new people. So my point here is why would a people still vilify us when there's no need to? Our people don't want nothing but a car, automobile, VCR, whatever type thing they got. You know what I'm saying? They don't care nothing, you know what I'm saying? They're not trying to raise up against an oppressor. End of story. So why keep the pressure on when you have won the war? And that is because it's a spiritual war. And I want to try to understand that they have to do it, and there's a spiritual jealousy. And let me explain this to you. Based on ancient texts, we are the people that is slated to rise up. Now don't get disenfranchised and get discouraged because the numbers are low, because even in the Bible they tell you, they always say look at the remnant. It's always the remnant. And because you can use even the biblical stuff, because remember now, those are ancient fragments that came from other things. See, a lot of times they say go into the scriptures, you can find what you want, and not go by the scriptures based on somebody's interpretation. But they talk about the remnant. So if the numbers are low, that's because it's prophesied that it would be low. They said it will go on until even the elect will be challenged. You see, and I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about in most materials, the Hermetic text, the Book of Enoch, even down to the Mahabharata in India. They talk about these things that will only be a small remnant. You see, that's the whole concept of David and Goliath. He takes a small pebble and he kills the giant. Well, the giant is symbolic of something on a greater civilization, or civilized level, or greater empire. You see what I'm saying? And it can even go on down to the metaphysical thing, because the stone, the pebble and the stone is also known as the philosopher's stone, which is also known as the third eye. You see, as the third eye. It even goes down to say that even Shiva, which is the East Indian form of Christ or Horus, will destroy the earth with his third eye. You see, with his third eye. In a book called Shiva the Erotic Ascetic by Wendy O'Flaherty, and another book she did called, she did several books, but this is called Shiva Erotic Ascetic. Comes out of Oxford, England. Although she's an American, the book you got to get it from Oxford Press, and they always talk about is whatever it is, it's going to be something that is so minute to the empire. So that's what it'll bring it down. Now they also always say in this, because we need to turn more to the ancient mythology and weave this stuff in and try to get a picture of what's going on. Get out of more of the theology and go into more of the mythology. And every single system has this mythological part. These are stories that correspond around the world that go beyond the whole cultural biases of customs and things like that. So we need to get out of those particular things. Let me give you an example. You have different mythologies. Different mythologies. One of the mythologies, it says that whenever this empire is overthrown, it is always overthrown when the ruling power sees its subjects at such a despicable level to their arrogance. You see what I'm saying? Succeeds them. They're so arrogant, they're so confident, until the confidence will be their underdoing, or they'll be their overdoing. You see, the confidence. That's why even to this day, we see these instances whenever you might know a certain thing and white people look at you in awe, because they just can't believe that you would know something like this. So now, the reason why I'm saying that, because if it looks grim, that's the time when all the ancient scriptures say the time when it's time for the overthrow. When it looks like it's disenfranchised, when it is no more help. You see what I'm saying? Whereas you look at black people in a deplorable state in the aspect, and I know you got to, because it's ridiculous, just by the potential and not even utilizing it. So when you're talking about that now, that means in the scriptures or in the ancient mythos, I like to call it. The mythos, they talk about that as the actual time. I'm saying this to say one thing. There's a secret society, like Brother Walter Williams has done research and find out that when you have, when it comes to the European Jews, there's a secret society among them that has an invention of ancient Israel. There's a new book out, came out in '97, The Invention of Ancient Israel, where they try to take the entire life to fit it to coincide with certain scriptures that was written for another people. In this case, we are those people. You see, we are those particular people. So when people ask the question, did the Holocaust happen? Yes, the Holocaust did happen. But the Holocaust was designed to happen. It was a part of the scheme and the design for Israel in the first place. I'm not trying to get on Israel. I'm trying to show you why is it that some people still kicking you when you're down. And it is based on, they know, just like the group out of in 2000 was the group that came out and said that the Africans in America are the heirs to the earth. White group, total white, totally white. As well as the guy, David Hetzel. The guy, David Hetzel, wrote a book called The Zealotar. The Zealotar. And in that particular book, he said that our only hope, he died in 1997, but before he died, in his notes, and it's a 200-300 page book, and in his notes he said our only hope is some type of black Masonic group. He didn't realize that the Masonic group that he was talking about, we call Prince Hall or whatever, is just a social club, but he was trying to give the people, when he was talking about a black Masonic group, he was talking about the group of people that was privy to this information and accessed this information over the last, over the last 10, 15 years. This resurgence of the black consciousness. He was saying that we was the only hope. Steve Coakley talks about a guy, I think it might be the guy Quigley. He talks about the guy Carol Quigley that said that our only hope, the only thing that can defeat this world power or this world regime or this oligarchy or evilarchy that they call this secret society that actually runs the world, the only people that can defeat that is the urban black person in America. You see what I'm saying? So my point here is, the people that is trying to fake themselves as being these world sufferers, this is like even Johnny Cochran told them when the O.J. Simpson trial came about. And they asked him why did he make a comparison to a racist over here to Adolf Hitler. And he turned around and said, are you crazy? The European Jews ain't got no doggone corner, no market on no suffering. Are you crazy? Adolf Hitler, 6 years, can't even get in the first page of what we went through. But the point about it here is you're talking about people that have to want to corner the market on suffering so that they can somehow systematically work themselves in the pages, in the annals of history, to try to somewhat line up with these scriptures that doesn't apply to them. We know that they were converted in Spain. It has nothing to do with the Egypto-Hebraic line of things. And we're talking about groups that came out of Africa. The point I'm trying to make here is you have a people that's systematically trying to line themselves up to be the people prophesized, to be the people that get the prize. But my point here is, just as the people that have to systematically lie and line themselves up as these so-called quote-unquote chosen people, if it's a consensus that is agreed upon, that means that they have to know of the real people. And we are the only ones that's privy to this particular information that can be the real people. As a matter of fact, before 1945, the only people that even lined up with the biblical book of Psalms and stuff where they talk about a suffering people, and even Exodus and all of that type of stuff, was the Africans in the annals of slavery, and the Africans in the diaspora. So my point here is they still got to keep the grind going because there's a jealousy, and they also know that the time is drawing near. Now let me give you an example of what I mean. There's a movie came out called Hearts of Atlantis. There's a couple of movies that give you the history of this. Movie came out, it's on cable now, it's on HBO, it's showing it, but you can also rent it. Hearts, like your heart. Hearts of Atlantis. What's the guy's name on it? Anthony Hopkins is the guy that's starring in that. He's in a lot of movies. Anthony Hopkins. And in the movie, did you ever see it? Mm-hmm. In the movie, it's talking about a guy in the 1950s that's running from some government officials because he's a psychic. And the story goes that government officials would actually sequester or actually abduct psychics from around the country to use as psychic spies. Some people thought it was for war, but it was for everything that goes on in the spiritual realm that they could get hold to. There's another movie called The Fury with Kirk Douglas documenting this. There's several others. But the key here is, they say that the righteous, in biblical terms, always were the last to know anything about themselves, and the people of the devil, in biblical terms, knew more about when the righteous was going to rise before the righteous did. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. In biblical terms, when we just talking about this, the earthly good and evil against the people that plot against him, and the Holocaust bringers. So these people at this particular time, they know. And remember now in 1996, they busted the government because the government had there was something like $10 million that just went into American revised history alone. They was like, wait now, how much history is history? How much can you spend on the budget a year on American history? So they had a $10 million budget to make sure that they preserved American history. But these were ghost budgets because up under that, these were budgets that was paying off different people in the psychic element. You see what I'm saying? In the psychic element. You see, so it was interesting here because in this particular aspect, we know that they have literally hundreds of people, and what they do is they sit in rooms and they read every article, every science fiction novel, every horror novel, any books that deal on the mystical aspect, any new research in religion, philosophy. They got entire divisions of the government, and that's all they do. From the people that research the printed word to psychics. So they know when something is going on, when there's something that is a break that's about to happen. And you best believe when the building fell down last year in New York City, it was major because they know that this is the apex of what's getting ready to go down. Even if you think sometimes you shake your head and say, man, I just don't know. I don't know how we're going to get out of this. They know. Just watch them. Now this thing with Iraq, I'm going to give you another version of it in a few minutes at the end of this to try to understand what's going on the melanin level. It's all related because there's something else behind that. And you must understand that. You must understand that. We know that Saddam Hussein works for the American government. So for the mere fact that he's a government operative that worked for the American government, for the mere fact that they're trying to go up in there is because there's something else. So always remember, there's always something spiritual from behind the way they move. Because remember now, the American government is a ghost government. There's people in the secret society who study the